Hi, it's Ashleigh from Sweet Dreams Bake Shop, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a Topsy Turvy display cake, and I'm also going to give you some fresh ideas on how to give out treats at a socially distanced party. For how to cover the board and these two cakes that I'm going to be showing, I made full tutorials for that in a previous video, so you can check that out in the right-hand corner. So since these are display cakes, you don't have to follow a whole lot of rules. You can really put things together however you see fit. There are some things I would have done differently with this if you want your cake to be super long lasting. So firstly, I would make sure to rip off part of the fondant on all parts of the cake that are going to be touching the wood, because styrofoam and wood adhere really well together with a little bit of hot glue, but it doesn't adhere as well to fondant. So that's one thing I would definitely change for next time so that it's super stable. All those bubbles that you see are made with fondant that I just balled up together. Steaming your cake makes it really easy to adhere a lot of fondant pieces in a short amount of time. As well, I should add that you should not let those fondant balls dry, because once you let that fondant dry and then you try to stick it on, they just roll off of each other really easily. To make sure this cake doesn't topple over, I am letting this rest overnight with a little bit of support so that nothing is shifting. I always use ready-made Rice Krispie squares for this just because I feel they have the exact right texture that I need, and then I just molded it together. This little duck took about 3 Rice Krispie squares. You could easily make the top tier of this cake real, and if you were doing that, then I would make sure to cover this little duck with buttercream before putting on this fondant. Since I want to keep this cake for a little while after I make it, I'm not going to add anything like butter or things that can go bad on my cake because I don't want my cake to smell and I want this to be able to last a long time. Don't worry if your duck is a little bit bumpy. We're going to be adding a lot of details to this duck. But if you do want a smooth one, then I would suggest that you use either royal icing if you're going to keep this cake for a long time, or buttercream to really smooth out all those edges. I am using some Isomalt today. This is the ready-made stuff. I just put it on a little mat like this, and I'm using my gloves that will not stick to it. I know most people have actual gloves. And then once that kind of cooled down a bit, I was able to take it off and just kind of mold it around this cocktail shaker. The reason that I use this is because it's metal, so I know it won't melt from the heat. Put a little bit of Isomalt down on the top so that we have something to adhere our little splash to. And then I put a little bit more Isomalt inside of this as well, so the ducky would be rising up, not like that. There's our little lucky ducky. I think the storytelling in these type of cakes is so important. And I guess this little lucky ducky is going for a splash in the bathtub. I want to cover up that little wrinkled bit by the neck, so I'm adding a little bit of ribbon on it. Making a bow is really easy. All you need to do is cut a strip of fondant, and then you're going to take one side and fold it to the middle, and then take the other side and fold it to the middle, and then you kind of just need to finesse it with your fingers so it bunches like a real bow. And then you're going to cover up that messy bit in the center by using another strip and placing it over top of your bow. I know I've raved about it enough, but bows can be super tricky to adhere to things without this steaming technique. So just another reason why I think you should get a clothing steamer if you're making cakes. I put a giant toothpick right in the center of the duck's head and right through the body so that it would be super stable. So I'm just covering it up with a little party hat that I made. You could honestly just cover it up with a little bit of the duck's hair though as well. When your fondant is thick enough, you can honestly just place on these things like the wing and the beak really easily. You want to make it thick, but not too thick. When I first started making cakes, it was a lot of drying time, especially for fondant figures, but I really learned how to expedite the process by making certain things thicker and learning what I can get away with. I noticed my duck was leaning forward a little bit, probably because of the weight of his head and maybe because of his bow. So what I did was I put another large toothpick right in the back to bring him back a little bit, and then I just cut it off with some really sharp pliers. royal icing for the eyes, but you could always use black fondant as well. I'm just using what I have on hand and what I find easiest. And really, that's what caking is all about, especially when you're making a display cake. I'm adding in some yellow eyebrows. Usually I make my eyebrows black or brown, but I just find it really, really cute and a lot less harsh when I make them yellow. My friend hates it when I cut fondant with scissors, so if you're watching, just fast forward this part. I find scissors really, really easy to use with fondant, especially when I'm doing this pom-pom look here. I really want to make it obvious that this is a one lucky duck party, so I'm going to put a lot of these little fondant ducks on, and it's just a really simple way to kind of convey a message. And you could make 3D ones, but I really don't have time for that. Adding on some little sixlets just to cover up anything that I'm not completely happy with, and it also adds that nice little bubbly touch. A word of advice, make sure that you do not steam your cake further once those sixlets are on there. It'll make all of that shininess go away on the sixlets, and we want to maintain that. I love, love, love the way this turned out. Now, if you were making that top tier reel, what I would suggest is you insert a pole all the way down your cake, and then you add an additional cake board on that little ledge there, and that's a little bit more complicated. So in future, I will probably do a tutorial where I show you how to do this type of thing with real cake. I think I've mentioned this before, but I really love doing display cakes over real cakes, especially for parties, because this cake, if it were real, could honestly feed maybe 80 guests. And I just don't have those type of numbers, especially not right now. So I like making a ridiculous over-the-top cake and then just having a singular cake for the family. I'm also going to be showing you a selection of treats that I normally have at my parties, but I'm going to be showing you how you can make it a little bit more sanitary. Sweet treat number 1 is paint your own cookie favors. These are great because you can make them well in advance, and then you can package them with their own little paintbrush, and they're awesome for kids to take home, and you don't really have to have any worries about kids touching other people's things because they're all going to be packaged, or you could even heat seal them as well. For a full tutorial on how to make these, you can go ahead and click the upper right hand corner link. Treat number 2, Lucky Ducky cupcakes. Now, I made mine Lucky Ducky themed, but you could surely make your cupcakes any theme that you want. And then to make sure that nobody touched anybody else's cupcakes, I stuck a fork into each cupcake and then put that cupcake into a cup. So when people came up to grab them, even with gloves on, we made sure that nobody else was touching each other's cupcakes. Full tutorial on how to make these cupcakes in the upper right-hand corner. If you're not into making treats from scratch, then sweet treat number 3, chocolate dip treats, is the one for you. I just take pre-made Rice Krispie squares and pretzel rods and dip them into white chocolate. If you want to see the full tutorial on how to do that, then you can go to the upper right-hand corner. And finally, sweet treat number 4 is your own smash cake or individual cake. For me, blowing out the candles on the cake is one of the best parts, because what else are you going to do after the song is over? But of course, I understand that we don't want other people blowing on our food right now especially. So it's great to have an individualized cake so that person can go and blow their candles out to their heart's content. Full tutorial on that cake in the upper right hand corner as well. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you can be part of the Sweetie fam. Right now, I'm uploading daily, so make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Also, be sure to comment, request, or ask a question. I love hearing from you guys.